Oh, the documents case. Folks, we said it a couple of days back. The easiest case to prove, hands down, is the documents case. And when we said that, that was before we found out this guy was caught on tape. Just admitting to it. This is now not only easy to prove, this is now a, what do you call it? A point in time where everything turns. It either goes one way or another. It's a fork in the road, let's say that. Are we going to have rule of law or not? If the recording exists, Jack Smith has no choice but to press charges. Let us talk about this case in terms of what the defense for it could be. How could you possibly defend this behavior? After all the shakeups on Trump's legal team, God bless them, they're still trying. If they would have, If they would have simply said, they being Trump here, have simply said, okay, yeah, I did it. I didn't know it was illegal. Here they are. We would have no issue at all. But he didn't. And he's insisting his lawyers still lie. And his lawyers, if they aren't fired or quitting, have to do that then. So here is lawyers attempting, this is brought to us by the David Pakman Show, because I'd rather not share Fox or even CNN just yet, frankly. Here's his lawyers attempting to make it seem like any of Trump's behavior that we know about publicly, much less that investigators know about and haven't said yet, any of Trump's behavior can be justified. I'll give you a hint. They don't do so good.
Right, so let's go to some CNN video. CNN interviewed Trump lawyer Jim Trusty about the leaked audio recording in which Trump is at Bedminster Golf Club, not at Mar-a-Lago. It's summer of 2021, long after Trump has left the White House and Biden is president. And Trump on the audio recording says, I have a...
Sorry, that's just like a Dr. Seuss name. Or it's a comical name for a lawyer for a famously lying client. Jim Trusty.
Classified document here that I can't show you, proving that Trump did not declassify all of the documents that he took with him, meaning he took classified documents to which he did not have the right.
Love David Pakman. Just to be clear, do we all understand? Do we all know what happened? It's a recording when he was doing an interview for some frivolous nonsense wherein he held up the document, said it was a document, said it was classified, and said it hadn't been declassified. Acknowledging, therefore, if the recording exists, acknowledging all the elements of the crime. He had it. We already knew he was told to give them back. It was in a location where he said there was no documents. And he says in the recording it's classified. The best case scenario is that this guy can go in front of a judge and a prosecutor can say, were you lying then or are you lying now? And hell, it might turn out that there is a combination of facts that means that it wasn't illegal. Somehow it wasn't illegal. Maybe it was literally just a folder with a blank sheet of paper in it. And Trump was just effing with them. But the place to discover that is gonna just have to be in court, where it's illegal to lie. Because it sure looks like a crime. And if we allow it to go uninvestigated, unprosecuted, uncharged, then we are saying there is no standard of evidence that is good enough to charge a former president with a crime. We are saying, then, in essence, that former presidents are above the law. which means Bill Clinton can run around lopping off people's heads. Barack Obama can kick in your door and beat you to death with a statue of Martin Luther King. I'm just playing up what the fears that I believe the right has about these people. All of that is legal if we say that the standard of evidence is higher for bringing a court case than what Trump has demonstrated. Okay, now we know.
Then we go to CNN last night. Here's Caitlin Collins asking Trump's lawyer, if the documents were declassified, as Trump told us they were, why is Trump on the recording saying, I can't show you this because it's classified? Very straightforward and simple question. Jim Trusty unable to answer.
Ask about something you just said to Abby, which was you referenced the fact that Trump was still president when he left office. He left Washington, I think he had about an hour left in his presidency. Are you saying that it was in that hour that he declassified the documents that were taken with him?
No, your timing is a little bit off. He landed in Mar-a-Lago and was at his residence while still president. It was a little bit after that Biden was sworn in. So he had the absolute authority to take every one of those documents, any document he wants, with him when he left the White House. What happens throughout history, through modern history, is
okay, now he's already being deceptive. In some hypothetical sense, if Trump goes through the declassification process while president, he would then be able to make the case that he can take documents. He didn't do that. Things are not de facto declassified because Trump thought about it or because Trump took them. And Trump admits on the recording that these are still classified documents, meaning he did not declassify them. This guy's lying and he's being deceptive.
But if you take documents and archives thinks they're entitled to it, they start negotiating. And that's what he did. He was telling them things like, hey, just ask if you want anything more. He gave them 15 boxes in January of 2022.
Well, after some back and forth, but just to be clear, you're making the argument right now that by the time he was on the ground in Florida, after he left Washington, that is when he declassified all of these documents that he took with him.
Hey, one thing. Before he answers that question, do you think he's going to give a straight answer? What's Caitlin Collins over here trying to do? She's trying to say, okay, just don't dance around this. Were the documents declassified in Trump's opinion? In Trump's opinion. Not even according to the law, because guess what? The law says, no, the president cannot just mentally assume, assign the declassified status. Tell no one and just mind declassify. Retroactively declassify after he's no longer president. We know the law says that ain't how it works. But Trump has said that is how the law works. He's lying. It's not the case. But she is asking, okay, according to Trump's wacky fantasy about the power he did not have, according to that, were the documents declassified? Let's see if this guy can give a straight answer to that question.
No. I'm saying the documents he brought with him are effectively declassified.
Effectively is doing some heavy lifting in this sentence. And the problem is lawyers not working for Trump say that that's not a thing.
And personalized under the Presidential Record Act. We're talking about constitutional authority under the Constitution to declassify. If he wants to take stuff with him and say, anything I take with me is declassified, if he wants to take stuff and say, anything I read at night is declassified, that...
Just to be clear, and I don't even think Pacman talks about this. Just to be clear, he's not directly even answering that question. He's just rephrasing what the argument was in the first place. Again, a wrong argument. Incorrect. But he's not even addressing that specific document. He's saying he could have done this. I mean, we're splitting hairs so much here. We really are. The question we should be asking everyone. And there's another interview that Pacman has pulled that I'm going to jump to in a moment. The question we should be asking every single person who is talking about this is, what is the standard of evidence necessary to get this in front of a judge? It's got to be lower than what we have seen. It's got to be way lower. Even if you're the sort of person that believes Joe Biden is somehow a criminal mastermind, he's not. But if you are that person and you think he is, then you should be all for Trump being in court right now over this. Because we are setting an astronomically high standard of evidence for bringing one of these people into court. And I'll tell you, if you think it's a witch hunt, if you really think that there is no case here, go into court, have Trump go into court, and demonstrate that. Pull up the section of the law that says he's allowed to declassify mentally. Pull it up where it says that. If you think if it's very Bible-like and it's just a matter of interpretation, make the interpretation in front of a judge. I'm not asking, I'm demanding that Trump be put in a room where it is illegal to lie and there are consequences for breaking the law. That is not an unreasonable request, given the fact that my belief, based on what I have seen, including this extraordinarily gentle interview on CNN, it is my belief that the law has been broken. So we need to litigate that. We need to decide that. Clearly, about 70 million Americans disagree with me. They think either the law hasn't been broken or it doesn't matter. The law is just irrelevant. We got to hash it out in court.
That was absolutely his right as president.
Even if that were the case, he didn't do it and admits the document is classified in the summer of 2021.
And the Presidential Records Act makes it clear that we don't even care about classified information. It is a statutory scheme.
But if this was declassified.
Yes.
All right. This other gal on CNN. I'm sorry I don't know her name. Hopefully Pacman introduces her here. This other gal is so damn good. This is the best interview I have seen with a Trump attorney, short of Ari Melber's astoundingly good interviews. Check this out. If for nothing else, I probably should have just pulled the CNN clip. It's a fantastic interview. Here we go.
And it doesn't really go any better.
These tapes would indicate that former President Trump knew that the documents that he had were classified.
Fair, it's all a witch hunt to justify indicting Trump. Here's one more clip. Here's Abby Phillip interviewing the same guy, Jim Trusty, and it doesn't really go any better.
These tapes,
Abby Phillip, just had to give her the credit,
would indicate that former President Trump knew that the documents that he had were classified.
Yes.
Does that not make his statements about blanket declassification and some statements by his representatives, wouldn't that make those lies?
Yeah, I'm not going to dignify the DOJ leak. What I will tell you is this. When you are...
Because it's extremely inconvenient to my client.
It does sound like you just don't want to address the substance.
Yeah, I shouldn't have interrupted her.
Because it's extremely inconvenient to my client.
It does sound like you just don't want to address the substance.
Well, it'd also be nice if...
It just sounds like you don't want to address the substance. Thank you. Thank you. That's exactly correct. Here's a question for you. Why is this guy even bothering to go in front of a camera if he can't talk directly with you? It's the same issue as Kevin McCarthy. If you are the sort of person that has fallen for this, if you are the sort of person that is on Trump's side regarding the classified document theft, you need to answer that question. If you are the sort of person that comes across these people, you need to demand they answer that question. Why can this guy not just give a straight answer? Oh, I'm not going to address this this leak. You want to talk about leaking in government offices? Fine, we can do that. You should first and foremost be concerned with whether or not something is true. That's crazy, I know. But a good place to start with our top priority is it true? And we can have a conversation. Why all these leaks? Why were there so many people around Trump that felt that America needed to know what he was up to? That is a question we should ask. I don't think you're going to like the answers. I think the answers are going to be because people were terrified that the Department of Justice wasn't doing anything, that Trump was still a free man, that this guy was actively causing harm in our country after trying a coup and not getting punished for it for years. Years and years. We're going to have that conversation. First and foremost, we should really just sort of deal with, did this guy steal some documents? How about that? Here's the interview.
You let me answer. So let me just try to answer, because
He's not actually trying to answer. That's the thing.
I am trying to be responsive, but I'm not going to bite on a leak campaign and try the case in the media. What I will tell you is there is no doubt that as commander-in-chief, and when the president left Washington, D.C. for Mar-a-Lago, he was actually still president. When he left for Mar-a-Lago with boxes of documents that other people packed for him that he brought.
At least now he's admitting there were boxes, huh?
He was the commander-in-chief. There is no doubt that he has the constitutional authority as commander-in-chief to declassify. It does not have to go through some sort of bureaucratic process to.
Does he have the authority to declassify is different than does he have the authority to declassify remotely? Does he have the authority to remove those documents before they're declassified? Does he have the authority to declassify without telling anyone? The president does not have a God King's rights. There are limitations. There are procedures that must be followed. Those procedures are there because he's a government employee. He can be replaced. In this case, he was replaced. And we do not want to have our national security dependent on the whims of a recently fired employee. Why is this guy going on TV, doing an interview after this information became available to the public, and then refusing to address the information? Well, gosh, maybe just. It's because the information is damning, and he wants to go on there so he can say that he was defending Trump, that they had an argument to make about it, just to go up there and make sound and scowl, flap his jowls at this young lady, so that people who aren't really paying attention can assume there's a two sides story going on. But he's not willing to address the questions. He's not willing to speak frankly. And those people who have voted Republican their whole lives and understood nothing about the politics they were supporting, we got to wake them up. And the way to do that is to ask the question, why isn't this guy given a straight answer? Why is he unable to? The answer to that question is obvious, by the way. It's because Trump is in the wrong. Legally or morally, it always ends up the same. Trump is in the wrong. McCarthy is in the wrong. These people do not have the interests of America in mind. These people are self-interested criminals, as in they break the law and they do it for their own gain.
Be declassified.
But
So
wouldn't it be very easy to simply prove that he just declassified them? Because even though he doesn't have to go
Yes.
through a process,
Right.
he does have to decide that it's been done. Did he tell
Yep.
anyone?
yes,
And
Yeah.
can you prove it?
sure, but we're
So
not
did he
going to try.
Did he declassify this document that we're referring to?
We're not going to try that.
All right. So as you can see, this is a very poor appearance for Jim Trusty.
Almost at the end there. Oh, almost. He starts saying, sure, but. Sure, he can prove it, but I'm not going to do it now. Oh, always later. Always somewhere down the line. What are we going to find out? We're going to find out almost certainly that Trump had no ability to declassify these once he got on the plane. That he did not declassify these because he knew he didn't have that ability. He was just trying to take them. For whatever reason, he believed he could get away with it. And then we are going to find out that he instructed his lawyers to lie. What I am asking Republicans to believe doesn't require a massive, complicated series of made-up laws to be memorized. I'm asking Republicans to believe the truth. You want to make starting with the United States, but if you want to make the world a better place, just demand straight answers. And if people follow the sorts of folks who cannot give straight answers, you need to make it clear to them, the followers. You need to make it clear to them that they are being toyed with. Let's see what y'all have to say.